Got it. So you've disabled screen sharing. Can you enable me to share the screen?
Just a minute.
Okay, meanwhile, welcome Galaxy Tab A. I'm not sure who she is, but I can see you on the screen. Welcome, nice smile.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think now
Yes.
you're able to share.
Okay.
Mm.
You'll tell me whether you can see my screen at some point. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. Yes, we
All
can
right.
see.
Thank you. So I just wanted to share briefly on debating, why debating for emerging voices? And yeah, for those who may not be aware of what we are all about and why confidence in public speech. And I want to admit that I'm still praying and hoping that Johnson might join us. He had expressed that he may be too held up, but I hope that he will, even if it's just for a minute. However, we will go on. So Debating for Emerging Voices is under the American Spaces here in Kenya. And I'll briefly later talk about who is heading it from that angle. So again, let's take a short journey on why debating for emerging voices and why confidence in public speech. Now, one of the current challenges that we're experiencing, or that I have seen, and I'm sure some of us will attest to, is that reading has become such a challenge with shorter attention spans developing. Actually, we are told for the teachers and the students on call that we do an average of 4 minutes. After every 4 minutes, it's like we need some commercial, because that's what the television is teaching us to do. So even when we are teaching in class, a good teacher will probably need to do some commercial so that the class can go on. Otherwise, attention span is becoming shorter and shorter. Number two, discussion is probably becoming rare as people are getting more angry because of the things that are happening around and about. And so would rather fight physically than just discuss things in an amicable way. Thirdly, decision-making is becoming a great challenge because we are at every moment we are faced with so many decisions that we need to make and very many options. And so these are the challenges that we want to talk about, or that we are trying to address in debating for emerging voices. The other thing is, more and more, the confidence for many people is waning as the social media is becoming the standard to measure our appearance or performance. So I'm presenting right now, probably if I don't get a like or two, Mr. Isaac, if I don't get a like or two, now I can't post again because I imagine people are not appreciating me. So these are some of the things that I believe those who have had this program have been able to grapple with or handle. So what we are saying is debating through emerging voices prepare students through training, mentoring, and coaching to enable them face the opponent without having unnecessary outbursts. One is able to control his or her temper because the argument is based on ideas, not on the opponent. Number two, during the last holiday, we had a very, very good response on blogging, and most of the students did a good job blogging on issues that affect the environment as well as our country. The other one is that as we do our preparations, our training, our mentoring, we are building confidence. As students do research, I have visited when the clubs are doing their research. It's not a joke. In fact, you walk in and you feel like you're actually interfering with great minds. And that is one thing that I've really admired about this program, and I still admire. And then again, the ability to carry on conversations on topics that are sensitive. But because we are discussing the topic, we have evidence through the debating for emerging voices. We've been able to go through this without beating each other. I remember that one of the tournaments which we had, it was very, very hot. And if it was not because of the skills that people have learned, it would have been possible for people to fight. But through the training and mentoring, we are saying we can disagree to disagree, and life still goes on. Now, again, through the debating for emerging voices, we enable participating schools to access diverse resources within the American corners. Those who visited have seen the beautiful spaces in Mombasa, Nakuru, Lamu, and in Nairobi. And the virtual and physical space can be used, by the way. You have access to that space. As young people, as teachers, they are just longing for people to make use of that technology, the digital learning material, and other opportunities that are provided in education. And then, of course, among other things, we've been providing fruitful networks for the young people and their teachers. I have met quite a number of teachers on call, and it's been beautiful. You just call on somebody, can you go do this and this, or can we do this together? And it's all because of this debating for emerging voices. Now, I just want to talk about building confidence in our speakers. One thing that I'm still hoping that our speaker might come in and say a word or two. How do we build confidence? One, we build confidence when we are aware of who we are, self-awareness. Self-awareness can enable me to borrow ideas from others without losing my own identity. If I'm aware of how I speak, I'm aware of how I communicate, then I will not be stressed out when another speaker is speaking, because I believe in our diversity. We are blessing the world that is before us. The other thing that helps us to build our confidence definitely is checking on our appearance. And here I'm talking to the debaters and all of us who might be given a chance, including myself. So we check on our appearance, our dressing, our physical or general, just physical appearance. Is it appropriate for my audience? Depending on who I'm going to address. If I'm going to address probably a younger audience and I'm putting on a t-shirt or something like that, they may not mind. But if I'm addressing an older audience, depending on the organization they are in, and I'm there in a t-shirt, just before I say anything, a number of them would have blocked me. And research shows that, and we know it, that first appearance can only be made once. And so there are people who are seeing me here for the first time and they are judging me. Now, if there is something I will do which they don't agree with, it will take me at least 20 appearances before the same people to change how they perceive me. So it's important that we make an appearance as best as we can. What about my teeth? I hope as I'm talking to you, you're not seeing anything between my teeth or in my eyes or something that will disturb you, so that most times, like sometimes when people speak and we have spit, sorry to say that, coming here, you know, it actually stops some people from concentrating because they're thinking, when will I give him a handkerchief so that at least he can clean that part? Because sometimes it's not just clean. All right, what about the inner clothing that we are putting on as we are building our confidence? If everything else is being seen as I'm talking, then that becomes a very, very big distraction. What about my shoes? I'm sure some people are wondering, why is she sweating? Well, this one I'll explain why. Somebody needs to mute. What about the shoes? No matter how much I've traveled, at least people always look at the shoes. By the way, people judge a lot with the shoes that we put on. So those are things we may ignore, but what will happen is, as people are watching me as I'm presenting, right now I can't see most of our faces, but I can see the people who are watching me. I can see from their faces whether they're agreeing with me or not. So if you're watching your audience and you're seeing they're disapproving, it actually works against our confidence or your confidence. Now, what else do we need to build our confidence? We must be skillful in applying wisdom, discerning, and understanding. And those of us who read good books may probably tell where this comes from. How do I build my wisdom, discernment, and understanding? One, I need to do my research on who my audience is to enable me use suitable examples, relevant examples. Number two, I should be able to tell whether my audience is following me or I lost them or they are bored just by looking at their body language. It's possible for a speaker to stand up, speak for 2 hours, and nobody is following and they are not sensitive. But we are saying, as we are getting better in debating, in public speech, in building our confidence, we must take cognizant of who we are talking to and their response towards what we are saying. Number three, as much as possible, we avoid talking down on people. It is possible that I may be blessed with much knowledge in that area, but the people who are listening to me are not empty. They also have something that they can add. So let us find ways in which we can identify with our audience as much as possible, as examples that can come from the audience, but if it is sensitive, we must have at least asked their permission earlier on. Number 4, avoid mocking the audience. And how can I mock the audience? One, I could use my tone in delivering a message that you know that I'm being sarcastic. Or I could use an audience to show that I came and I'm doing you a favor as I'm talking to you. And this will finally work against my confidence, because probably nobody will ever call me to speak again, or they will show me using their body language that what I'm doing is not relevant. And so even as our debaters continue, we're having the final tournament coming up. I hope we'll remember some of these things. Again, remember that we can find a member of the audience, and they normally tell us that when we are going to speak in a particular place, it's good to go early, meet at least one person, bond with them. The bigger the audience, the better it is for us. Once you meet that person, as you will be speaking, high chances are you will feel comfortable having that person who knows you there. So at some point, you'll find yourself talking to that person. Of course, you can't overdo it, but as you talk to that person, your confidence is being built. At least you know somebody is listening. Again, we teach this in our schools, use of appropriate eye contact, not staring. I've been in a meeting where a speaker is staring, literally staring, you know, like almost 1 minute, your eyes are eye to eye and you're thinking, wow, I'm feeling uncomfortable. We are saying we must establish appropriate eye contact and avoid staring. Or the opposite is also happens. The opposite also happens where we are not looking at the audience. When we were growing up, we used to be told, if you are shy in a meeting, look above the audience. But you and I know that it actually looks a bit ridiculous, that you're looking above the audience. No matter how much you try, it just looks odd and it shows lack of confidence. The other thing I would mention is maintaining appropriate social distance, depending on what I want to illustrate. If I am too close to the speaker and they are not my object of illustration, which I need to ask them, then they may feel a bit uncomfortable. Or if I am too far, especially if the stage is so high and they're feeling like you're so much above us. So I believe as good debaters, as we build our skills, we must be so sensitive to know that when I'm in a room, how close, what is the social distance that can keep me comfortable with my audience? Again, I hasten to say, if I must use an example from an audience, let me ask permission from them. Or if I'm praising them and they don't mind, then I can use that example. Because sometimes I can be tempted to use an example and the person feels embarrassed and they wish the ground would swallow them. But for me, I'm thinking, I'm just doing something normal. So I pray that we can also take cognizance of that. And then, of course, the other skill that we must apply is practice, practice, practice. Practice before mirror, practice before peers, practice within those. When we were growing up, some people were looking after cows. Practice before those animals, just practice, practice, practice. The more we practice, the experience make us better. Then be teachable. We must be teachable. One of the hardest things sometimes as a public speaker is when you've spoken and you hear a comment silently given. Maybe people are not aware you are listening. That, that was so boring, or that, when we hear that, the temptation is like, oh, I'll never prepare again. No, debaters, we soldier on. We take in that comment, find out where I need to change, and then I change. And I'll be teachable again if I'm a willing reader. How do I read? How do I develop the content that I can give in my speeches? It takes lots and lots of reading. And so we must have the discipline, the habit of reading. No matter how busy we feel our schedules are, we must make time to read. And then take time to listen to other good speakers. At the American Corner, they have very, very nice videos on speakers. I think there's one of them which has about 20 speakers of our centuries. I listened to them and I thought, wow, we still have a long way to, I personally have a long way to grow, but I'm happy because I'm making progress. I pray that we take advantage of those resources and make ourselves better speakers. After all, We are not in debating for emerging voices because we are students or because we are teachers, but because we have a bigger purpose to reach a bigger audience. And so we must continue developing our skills. Public speaking is a skill, and developing skills take time. Finally, we must be a servant. Now, what do I mean by being a servant? It means, as I'm giving your speech, as I'm talking to you, for me, this is my passion. And I hope it's coming out as part of my passion. If I am speaking on a subject and I don't have a passion towards it, my attitude itself will become a hindrance to the people who are listening to me. And let me tell you, audience can tell. I am sure right now, so many of us are speaking to me, except I can't hear what you're telling me, but you're responding in one way or another to whatever I'm saying. So we are saying our attitude towards the subject we choose should be positive, that we almost make people want to get in and feel with us and walk with us. And then practice what we speak. If I will talk to us about giving public speech or confidence building, and I don't try to build mine, then it's all a lie. I must be authentic. And so for me, I make a point that after I've given what I'm sharing with us, I will continue practicing and reading and becoming better. Because when you can see me for who I am, not just what I say, then you will tend to believe me even more. Again, real life experience is what is felt by the people who are listening to me. My real life experiences or the real life of what they know about me, that also helps me build confidence. And then they say, seize opportunity to practice what we say. After all, opportunity comes in working clothes. So whatever we are doing today, what will be shared, what will be taught, let us put them into practice. That way, when opportunity will come, like the coaches here, opportunities are actually coming. Some have already got them. It's because you're working. It's because you're doing something. And finally, on this, being a servant, actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. And so I've finished on building confidence. I've finished on the materials that I wanted us to share on. But briefly, I just want to tell us who is behind this program, Debating for Emerging Voices. On the screen is Madam Esther Kihanga Chege. She's the one, the director in charge of the American spaces, Nairobi, Nakuru, and Lamu, the one to whom we owe this program. And then I am the project lead and educator or coach, and that's my name on the screen, my contact. I will post this at some point. Then we have our project coordinator, Kathy Nekesa, who is helping me co-host this program. That is also her contact. And then we have Coach Dr. Antonino Koth, who will speak to us on the Lincoln debate. Best style I've ever seen in a long, long time. Then we have Coach Emmanuel Jackson Chepe. His contact is here. We have Coach Lilian Adasa. Again, her contact is here. Coach Isaac Mwangi will be speaking to us on something tonight. We have Coach Dennis Gishangi. We have Coach Stephen Marita. Coach Ramadan Johari. Coach Mrithi Shamata. Coach and then the participating schools. The participating schools are Moi Forces Lanet, Karima Girls, Lamu Boys, Lamu Girls, Shimola Tewa, Bright Girls, Stella, State House Girls, Mwiki Secondary, Highway Boys, Mamangina Girls, and Coast Girls. These were the groups that started. They have done the training and they'll be having the competition next week in the American Corner, Nairobi, but we will be doing it live, Facebook. And so we are hoping, we hope that once we are through with this, we'll have more people joining in, more people being trained by these coaches, and you can reach them at these contacts, which I will post. And that is the end of my presentation for today. And I pray that as we continue building our confidence, as we continue debating, we will give emerging voices a chance. The young people space, the emerging voices, people who probably have never been heard, but have something to say. Let's give them a chance. Thank you so much. I will now stop sharing my screen. Right. Thank you for listening to me. Do you want to say amen?
That was a great presentation. I liked it. I liked the flow and the illustrations.
Thank you, Kathy.
So that looked like you did your job really well.
Thank you, Kathy.
I've learned so much, by the way.
Okay.
I've had quite the day today, but you said something about applying wisdom, discernment, and understanding. Sometimes these skills are not just useful when it comes to debating, but also just living with other people. Sometimes you encounter difficult situations and the temptation is to fight or respond emotionally. But today I encountered such a circumstance before this meeting. And I remember a very wise person told me, do not respond emotionally, respond to the issue. And that coincides with what you've said. Arguments are about the idea, not the opponent. And I like that the fact that debating for emerging voices has enabled us to have that. So thank you so much for your presentation. I don't know if there's anyone else who wants to maybe say something. I think you can. I'm seeing some comments in the chat box.
Okay, you can read.
Isaac,
you can read.
Isaac Mwangi says, wonderful presentation. Antonin says, work, thanks. Lillian Kimilu says, thanks, Daktari. That was a powerful presentation on building confidence and enhancing our public speaking skills.
Thank you.
Eva Kweto says, thank you, teacher.
Yes, yes. Welcome, Eva. Wow.
So you can keep writing your comments and we'll read them as we take breaks in between.
Right. And give a chance to Seth. Seth Nyangena wants to say something briefly on his experience emerging for debating voices. Seth, you're welcome. Unmute. Kathy, can you unmute him?
I think he can unmute himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a privilege. Hope you're doing good.
Yes, we are doing good.
The debate has helped me a lot in my listening skills. Like, let's say, when my opponent is talking, I listen keenly and read some notes down. That has helped me a lot in class. When the teacher is talking, I take some important notes, key notes, and write them down. Also in my talking skills. Nowadays I can talk in front of people. At least nowadays I have that courage to talk to people. Yeah, debate has helped me that a lot. And also it has helped me in doing research. Let's say been given a claim, you do something about that, you go into the net, do some research, something like that. Also, it has helped me.
Just a moment. May I request Mr. Kirago to mute? Or Kathy, you can mute him. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, go on, Seth.
Also, in the doing research, I can refer to, let's say, the classwork. If the teacher has given us some notes or something to work on, some questions, just go direct, do the refer. Because I'm familiar with how we do the referring to other things. And I can apply it how I debate when let's say, I do the research in debate. The same thing, I'll apply it in my academics, where I'll do the research and finally come to conclusion and to an answer in my answers or questions which have been given by the teacher. Yeah, debates are very good thing. I like it a lot.
That's beautiful to hear. Right. that is one of the debaters. We appreciate you, and it's always good to get feedback. It's very encouraging. If there's any other student on call and later you'd like to say something, please, this is about debating for emerging voices. Yes, Catherine, can I go ahead and call the next speaker?
Yes, you can go ahead and then just let me know who the next speaker is so that I can ask them to unmute themselves.
All right. The next speaker is Dr. Okoth, Antonin Okoth.
May I share some comments
Go
before
ahead.
that?
Yes, as she's preparing.
Kim says this platform has been and is the best because one not only gets to step out of their boundaries and outdo themselves, but also discover so much potential and ability. I've learned a lot about confidence and relations and viewing things from different perspectives. Thanks a lot. And then Isaac Mwangi says, thank you, sir, for your input. Those are the comments. I can ask Dr. Okoth to unmute and then go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I hope you're all doing well. Thank you. It's good to be with you again this time. I hope, Dr. you will be able to share what I had sent earlier.
Oh, I share the screen, eh?
Yes.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share just about a bit about the Lincoln-Douglas debate. Before I go to the main thing, I would like to just briefly mention I believe all of us who are here have an idea what a debate is now, that it is a formal and organized argument that involves two sets of participants or teams. It mainly involves a discussion on a subject with two opposing sides. So one side, then proposing or agreeing with the topic, while another side, that is disagreeing with the idea. Now both sides support their side using evidence. And the main thing is that they should be able to convince others that their side is the best. And then there is a judge who decides the winning team or the winning participant. That is generally what we are used to about the debate that we commonly see in our lives. Now, there are different types of debates. I will look at them later on, but my main task is to look at the Lincoln-Douglas debate. The Lincoln-Douglas debate is based on two major individuals, very prominent individuals, that is Stephen A. Douglas and Abraham Lincoln. And a brief of this is that these two gentlemen lived at a time in America where there was an issue that was really dividing the nation. And Stephen was, both of them were applying to be, were vying to be senators in their land. And so they were, like most of us are familiar with now, they were campaigning. So as they were campaigning, there was something that was really dividing them. And this was an issue about slave trade or slavery. So according to these people, or according to Stephen Douglas, he agreed, or he decided, or his idea was that people would be allowed to decide whether they want to support slavery in their state or not. So each state, if you wanted to have slavery amongst yourselves, you were good to go. But as for Abraham Lincoln, he said, no, we cannot have this. So his idea was that we can, what is really attributed for is that we cannot have a nation divided amongst itself or against itself. We cannot be slaves, or we cannot have a slave or a free state. That a house divided against itself will always fall. So according to Abraham Lincoln, he decided, or according to him, he decided that if they decided that they do away with the slave trade, or they do away with slavery, then all throughout America, they would do away with it. So they decided to have a debate. So the debate was whether to be slave or to have slaves or free. So this is, they had several debates, and they moved around the states, and the debate was so unique. And this is why this particular debate we are talking about is called, has that particular name. In this debate, they moved around, they had 7 debates in different states. So in each debate, each participant would speak, each debate would go for 3 hours. The proposer would speak for 1 full hour, present his idea for 1 full hour. Then the other party would go for 1.5 hours. And then the first speaker would go for 30 minutes. So that was 1.5 hours, well, 3 hours. Now this type of debate it attracted a lot of audience. It became so famous. And later on, because of the excesses of several other types of debates that we'll mention later on, this debate is very, very common in American schools. So that is just the background of it. So it was adopted in school debates as a result of the excesses of the team policy debate in high schools. The team policy debate is so exhausting. It needs one team to speak and go so many rounds, about 12 of them. And that is so exhausting. Next slide. So it's one of the debates in this particular debate, the Lincoln Douglas or the LD debate, is a one-on-one debate. That is, one participant or one debater would speak on a particular contention or a particular issue alone. But then at the background, there are some team that will support them. So the competing side discuss merits of a competing ethical value in a persuasive manner rather than a specific policy, not like in the team policies. This is on the value of a particular thing. So this debate questions on the morality, justice, and democracy, and deciding whether or not certain actions or states of affairs are good or bad, or right, wrong, moral, or immoral. So any speaker will always want to justify why they would take a particular action or a particular side. For example, if we would be asked, all of us now, why you would prefer a particular type of food, you definitely have your reason why you prefer that food. For some of us, if you would maybe choose ugali, and some will choose githeri, others will choose pizza, others will choose the rest. then you would be asked, what would be your reason? Maybe, or you'll find somebody who has chosen Githeri very unreasonable. But that person has their very good reason. They will say, this is a balanced diet. So maybe their value for that particular food, they value their nutrition, while others may value maybe just the presentation or maybe the taste. So such a person may go for whichever food they want. So the Lincoln-Douglas or the LD debate is mostly about value debate or ethical values. Why are certain things, or why would you take certain actions and not the other? Next. So I say the debate has two sides, those favoring the proposition. Now, those who are favoring the proposition in this particular debate are called the affirmative position. The affirmative debater upholds or affirms or agrees with the resolution. That is, they are supporting the subject of the resolution. For example, if we say like slavery or slave trade is immoral, then they will want to find support. The immoral, why is slave trade immoral? The reasons behind it being immoral, and try to support their idea. So their job is to present arguments in order to persuade the judge that the resolution is true. In this case, if slavery is immoral, they must show why or how it is immoral. Next. On the other hand, the side that opposes the proposition is called the negative position. So the negative position, theirs is the opposite of the affirmative. So there has the negative, here the negative debater disagrees with the resolution and present argument to persuade the judge that the resolution is false. Again, if we are looking at slavery is immoral, then they will want to tell us in what ways slavery is not or may not be so immoral. Next. So we look at the format of the Lincoln-Douglas debate. So in this particular debate, we said there are two opposing sides. The affirmative side will have a pre-written constructive. That is, they will have gone out of their way to do a lot of research to support the constructive, or to support their side, and then present it in 6 minutes. So this one contains a affirmative position or formative position. So they present adequate and valid proof. And this one must be well rehearsed for proper timing. So in 6 minutes, you come with what you have already written and you present it to support your side. Next. The next one will come the cross-examination of the affirmative by the negative sides. This is done in 3 minutes. Now this one, as the affirmative side is speaking, then the other side will be taking notes and they'll want to find out, to question them on maybe certain points that they have mentioned to gain clarification, or have them get repetition on some points, or simply to find faults and damaging the information that they have presented. So the main issue or the main idea of cross-examination that should be done in 3 minutes by the negative side is to water down the argument of the affirmative side. Question them to seek clarification. In 3 minutes, next. So then after the cross-examination, Worse than the negative constructive. Again, somebody is not muted. Then the negative side will read their pre-constructed argument to support their side. So they will take 7 minutes. Now this particular 7 minutes mainly is divided in 2 parts. The first part is pre-written and pre-rehearsed. That is to defend their case. And the best case scenario is to use 4 minutes to make sure that they have presented their part. Then the second part is in 2 minutes, and the remaining time is to attack the opponent's point. Now, what is it that the opponent said that you think were not in line with the resolution or not in line with the contentions that they made? And then the next part, that is part 4, is the cross-examination of the negative by the affirmative. Now remember, the first one, we had the affirmative present their case, the pre-written case, in 6 minutes. After that, they are cross-examined by the negative in 3 minutes. At this time, in most cases, there's a brief break, which I'm going to talk about later. So the negative will also now present their case. And after the negative now presents their case, the affirmative will come in now to cross-examine them. Also to ask questions, to seek clarification, to make sure that everything the affirmative is saying goes according to the contention, the subjects, and the case that is that they are presenting. Next. So after the cross-examination of the negative, then the affirmative will now reconstruct their point and try to rebuttal. To rebuttal here now is to water down the other side's points as they build theirs. Well, in most cases you say, you are saying this, but we are saying this. This is what maybe find out about their references, find out their contentions, find out about the case they have made, how watertight is it, and try to make it, water it down as much as possible. So these, they hit at the presented arguments against own case. That is the first part. In the second part, they take time to build their own case. So it's like they bite and they build theirs. They bite and they hide on theirs. So generally, they are trying to make their case look as better, to make prove to every person or to prove to the judge that the other side has not got it right, but we have got it right because of the proof and the references that they are going to that they present. And then the next one is the negative reconstructive or rebuttal, which they do in 6 minutes. Here they attack. Again, they do what has been done earlier by the reconstructive, and then they rebuild their point, and then they crystallize. That is, they summarize everything that they are talking about. So they use all manner of proof according to the contention. So if they go outside the contention, again, out of order, and their case will be watered down. The next one.
I'm not sure why it's not moving.
It is okay. Okay. So if it's not moving, then maybe I can go on as you try to talk about the preparation time. We agreed that the preparation is given in between the speeches or cross examinations to prepare the rebuttal. That is, after the cross examination, before the negatives start their presentation or the constructive, they can take a minute or two. They are allowed 2 minutes of preparation. So the preps time, they are given to prepare their case or maybe react to what the other side has said. Now this becomes very easy when the debaters know how to flow or how to write their short notes as the other debater is going on. So the prep time is 4 minutes. So they use their prep time according to where there is need. So I believe those of us who have handled or watched this debate have seen that as the debaters have spoken, they will always take time to converge, to put their heads together and reconstruct the ideas before they take the floor. So then maybe up to there, if anybody has a question or something that needs to be clarified, we will take a minute or two before I move on to how to formulate a debate case.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see it. It has now moved.
Okay.
And we have talked of the preparation time that is used at will in between the main parts of the debate. So we move to the next. If there's no question, okay, thank you, Isaac. Isaac has told me they are doing well. Then now I talk of formulating debate cases. So once the debaters have been given the resolution, then they have to do a lot of research. A resolution in the LD debate is a statement of the topic of the debate. So what normally in normal debate we call a motion. So in this particular one, the debaters will take time to define the keywords. First, they really need to define the key points. What is the important words? What is the subject? What is the main contention in the resolution? And how do you go about it? Then all this will need, throughout, there's a lot of reading. Then they state the value premise. What is the value? For example, if we are saying like slavery is immoral, why would somebody say slavery is immoral or slavery is not moral? So what would be your value in this particular case? So pick on a particular value, which you really must find proof to develop and build. Then after stating the value, you state the arguments as the main points, or what in this debate is called the contention. What are your main points? Why are you saying slavery is immoral? Yes, if you're saying slavery is immoral and you don't have proof, or you don't have what to show, how to say that it is or it is not, then those are hearsays. Then back your points with evidence, such as quotes, reasoning, analogies, and the rest. Then find a good opening statement, such as a quote. I believe most of us here have seen how the others were doing it. A quote, a startling statement, or appropriate example, so that you are on point. What will capture the audience's attention, so that you move with it to define and then develop your argument appropriately. I don't know whether my minutes are off.
There you are.
So basically that's what I got, because I believe the rest of the part was to be discussed by somebody else. So if there's any question, I could add to them, but mainly four major parts of the LD debate: the two sides, the affirmative and the negative. And on the floor, after all the preparation, the affirmative constructive, where you give all your points as to all your contentions to support the side. And then the negative constructive, which also goes to support their side in 7 minutes. Then we have the rebuttal, and then you finalize. I think basically that is it.
A question. I have a question.
Yes.
When you're speaking about the cross-examination part, you say that as your third point, you said you should find false and damaging information. Please shed more light on it. Shed more light on it.
On cross-examination.
Yes, the point where you say that you should find false and damaging information.
Okay, what I simply mean is that as either way, the affirmative or the negative put their case, there's a time for cross-examination. Cross-examination mainly is to seek clarification. Seek clarification on the points that your other opponent has said. As you seek the clarification, this clarification would depend, or you would seek clarification, maybe the point or a contention that has been made. Is it the correct one as per the resolution, or as per the value that the opponent has selected? Now, you can also seek clarification. Does the value that has been selected in line with the contention? So in most cases, you want to tell them maybe what you have picked, or the value that you have picked, does not really in line with the contention. So that is what you're trying to weaken their argument. The main thing is you're trying to build on yours. So find fault with what they have said. So you are finding fault in a number of areas: in their contention, in their value, in their references, and all manner of things. So basically that is it. So before you do this, remember, you will not find fault if you yourself is not aware. That is why in the Lincoln-Douglas debate, it is desirable that one speaker will do both sides. You go for the affirmative, and you also prepare for the negative, so that you know both, and you prepare beforehand. You kind of predict what you think your opponent is going to say, and you write an answer to it. So if they are so predictable, as to say what you had anticipated, you will beat them on the game, because you tell them this is, you know, you will get very happy because that is what you have anticipated. And so you twist it to look like it is not the best way. They have not done it the best way. I believe I've answered.
Yeah, and may I say something?
Please.
And also part of what you have said is when the opponent is doing research and they don't
Yes.
quote the year from where their content comes from, that can be used against them. So you quote a book or you say an article that was written and you don't quote the year, your opponent can use that. That is why you need to note. You may not use all those books when you're writing your submission, but you need to know where your work comes from. The other thing is somebody decides to use a newspaper that is not, it's not, what do we call it? It's trusted, authentic, yes. Because we have very many newspapers, you find one in the streets and you decide, I'm not saying everything in the street is wrong, but you find something in the street and you decide to use that as part of the argument. That way, that argument will not stand. Remember, we said we are not fighting the person you are talking to. It's the idea that you are arguing against. And so like Madame says, you must be knowledgeable on both the negative and the affirmative so that whatever argument somebody brings in, you can see through. You can see through what they are saying. And remember, you're always addressing the judge. You're always addressing the judge. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you. So we also, I think I emphasize the fact that as you do your research, as you are preparing, also look for credible sources. Look for credible sources. Don't just pick any material anywhere and go with it, because that is one area where you're going to be questioned. How authentic, how reliable is this idea that you have given us? Who has said this? Where did this person say this? When was this thing said? In what context? So as you are researching, be very clear on your sources that are reliable. Who has said it? When was it said? So I remember the other time we had a debate, somebody was trying to fight or saying something that was clearly in the Bible. And this person was saying this is actually, I remember it was a poem or something. And clearly you can remember, those who are there, you can remember how the person was fought very, very seriously. So before you go to the floor, before you write your case, make sure it is watertight. I think if you fear reading, the Lincoln Douglas debate is not for you. You really, really must go out of your way to read and read widely and write your case. You will not write your case just once. You know, you will rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, and you keep on practicing and practicing and practicing, as Daktari had said earlier. You must practice and make sure that it is only, it will fit in the time that you have been given. When we first had this debate, I realized our students had a lot of problems with timings. Their constructive cases were very, very, very long. And so they consumed, they were running and they were rushing, and some of them could not barely be heard. But now when it came to cross-examination, they were not well prepared to do it well. And you find that one person would just ask one question, and that was it. And you realize that they lost quite a lot of ground on cross-examination. So the participants must really, really be prepared and conversant with all the steps. The writing of the researching, writing of their cases, and then presentation, and then cross-examination and rebuttal. All of them must be watertight. Maybe somebody can add another?
I would want to say Let's hear Teacher Isaac first, and then we can handle that because time is moving. Maybe he may say something that will cover that, and then we can handle all that towards the end. Catherine?
Thank you.
So Teacher Isaac, I think Teacher Isaac, we can, Njoki, a student, can say something as Teacher Isaac prepares to say something.
Oh, okay. I can see Njoki was in the waiting room, but she's joining us.
She's joining.
Yes.
Is she back?
Just give her a moment. It says joining, so I think maybe it's an issue of the connection.
Okay, then let's have Teacher Isaac. Oh, she's back. Njoki, you can say one or something, and then we have Teacher Isaac, then we can have our comments at the end. She's still connecting. Teacher Isaac, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my colleagues, and also to viewers, those who have joined. Thank you so much for creating time to come listen to what we have to offer. And I'll go straight, but also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Ogweno as well as Dr. Koth. They have put it so well. So mine will be just to ice what they have already said. There is a conclusion which won't take long. I request Kathy, if it's possible, maybe to take us through the slides, and she works on that.
The slides you shared with me earlier.
Yes.
Okay, just in a moment.
And also in your WhatsApp. As she does that, quite a number of times, we hear in our National Assembly, as well as the Senate, the speakers posing this question: will as many as of the same opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Then, depending on the noise meter or the Mentimeter, they will either, the ayes will have their way or the nays will have their way. However, in the Lincoln Douglas, we have a different format. And that is why we are advocating the Lincoln Douglas, as Dr. Koth has taken us through. You've heard that it's a one-on-one. Therefore, we don't have a lot of noises and all this, and debating is actually carried out in a very mature way, if I was to say so. There's the aspect of charisma as opposed, charisma on one hand and eloquence. Although charisma or being charismatic is good, we are more interested with the eloquence, how you put through your points, the research that you have done, so that what we are calling the contentions or justification, so that it comes out, we are able to get to know what you are telling us, what your point is, as opposed to maybe a lot of charisma that may lose the point. And we saw this, those of us who are watching this debate, that although charisma is good, but what carries the day is your eloquence, the way you are able to articulate your points. And as our speakers have mentioned about the citation, it's important for us to cite and cite well. Maybe use of APA, things that we did in university. But these students, our debaters, are able to quote, to cite well, and actually justify their points. It's something that we've really loved, and it's helping us a lot. But why all this? I would say that, Kathy, we on slide number 2. Slide number 2. Actually, number 3. Number 3. Yeah, that in the Kenyan system, we have embraced what we call the CBC. And actually, all this research and whatever they are carrying out contributes to one of the values in the CBC, known as digital literacy. So it's a timely type of debate that is actually complementing our education system. So I would actually urge everyone to get to know deeper about Lincoln Douglas. We can move on to the next slide. I only have a few slides and we'll be done. We are saying that LD, or Lincoln Douglas, we call it LD, looks for the good in every situation. You've heard that the debate is based on values. Kathy, if you're to move to the next. It's based on values. And this, the resolve, or the what you call the resolve, the debater will carefully bring out the value that is predominant. And once we go through this, when you talk of values, again, Dr. Koth has mentioned about the values, which is the value premise should be the ultimate value that you seek to uphold in order to achieve the best out of your debate. And when you talk of values, we are talking of nothing else but values, which may include the likes of justice, as she has mentioned, morality, social welfare, individual welfare, liberty, and the likes. I borrowed permission from one of my debaters just to read or take you through. There was a debate that was held, which resolve read, the returning corporal punishment to schools is justifiable. And actually, out of that, one of the contention, I just picked one, and I'd like to take you through so that you can see the kind of debaters we are bringing, okay, to the market, if I were to say so. The issue was on corporal punishment, and she said, corporal punishment make children to be obedient. It's in the next slide. Corporal punishment makes children to be obedient, respectful, and polite. And as a result, they become, or they are disciplined. In absence of corporal punishment, children are likely to become delinquents. When the use of corporal punishment was banned in schools in the year 2001, the result of it was dreadful. Look at the high incidences witnessed in our country of banning of schools. In fact, Professor George Magoha, CS Ministry of Education, was shocked by this trend and recommended the return of corporal punishment. This was in speech he made on 21st August 2021. Okay. On 13th June 2021, in Kihumbuini Girls in Murang'a County, the students banned their school. This resulted to death of 2 young Form 1 students, namely Terry Wangari and Janet Waithera. They had succumbed to burns of high degree. Imagine the reason for banning the school was that they wanted holiday. I wonder. But if corporal punishment had been returned in schools, the students would have shied away and desisted from banning the school. Janet and Terry could still be alive. That's why I'm affirming that corporal punishment in schools is justifiable as a way of instilling discipline. This ability to conduct such research and actually come up with such is quite evident, or what you'd call palpable in debating model. And these are the students, these are the debaters we are producing. Again, I went to the CBC and saw that it fits in critical thinking and problem solving. So I would highly recommend that. That is why we need debating Lincoln Douglas, which is actually carried out through the Debating for Emerging Voices Club. The next, I'm almost through, I looked at why Lincoln Douglas, and actually something that came out was the art of public speaking. Daktari mentioned about this, that through this rigorous training that we take the students through and they conduct, sorry, and they allow me just a minute. Here we are, we're grown. Thank you for that. That public Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. We are saying that the art of public speaking, as you heard Dr. mention, that it requires a lot of practice. You hone the skills. But how do you go about it? That out of this practice, you are able to master the skills of presentation. And out of that, you have the confidence. You heard Seth saying that there before he was one of my shy boys, but now he's able to present, he's able to talk, he's able to articulate his points. And this is what we want. Again, if you look at the way they do it, these those teachers of English, you remember listening and speaking, that etiquette when it comes to turn taking in debating. This actually comes out in cross-examination on what I would call conventional type of debates where they have the shouting matches. Here, you find that because I'm debating on issues and I'm talking about values, I'm not interested in shouting. I'm interested in actually listening so that I'm able to package, think on my feet, and be able to challenge my opponent, whether I'm affirming or negating. Again, the value of communication, if you are to look at CBC, comes out so well. Second last is something in the next point, next slide, is something to do with teamwork and collaboration. This you've heard Dr. Kot say, and also Dr. Gwen. There are times you walk into those rooms when actually they are doing the research and you feel that, no, let them continue because of the teamwork. Everyone has a role to play. Although when it comes to debating, it's one person, but behind the scene, there's a lot of teamwork, right from preparation, what I would call the research part, the rehearsals. I've introduced something else we call dry run. You know, that dedication of the team is actually enormous. And this, out of that, we have seen, Madam Lillian would bear me witness, Coach Lillian, that even forming discussion groups becomes very easy. They are very productive. You find them being on the forefront, either to front ideas or to make presentation. I'd like to give an example. Recently, again, on SIG, today is 7/7. On SIG, it was on a Monday, the CS for Education came to launch the CBC class. And guess what? All those active participants who are ushering in the CS, who are taking him round, are our members of the DV. Why? They have the confidence. They are able to think on their feet. And I said, wow, I think we need, as we are sharing lightly with our lead, is that we actually need to trace and see how our debaters are doing. What else? Okay, how are they contributing? And it's quite enormous if you are to table that. Again, the value of communication and collaboration comes out so well. There's quite a lot, even in terms of resource and the likes. But finally, I would like to talk of freedom of expression. And this date, you know, it has history. Sabasaba has history in our country of liberation, of freedom of expression, and all this. And this type of debating actually came at the right time. That just like our US counterparts, we are able to debate freely and express, okay, our ideas, our views, our opinions through blogging. There before, there was that connotation that when you are a blogger, your work, you know, you're just lopsided, you're one-sided. Your work is just to, you know, it's the smear campaign and all this. But we have come to note and appreciate that one is able to sit, plan, go through and come up with an article just to express their views. We have seen students do this. We have seen coaches do this. And we are always guided. There's a team that actually guides us, which, okay, I would actually, through WordPress, you can join, we'll give you a link. Just get to see what we do. We have quite a number of articles. I would say that my greatest joy was when I actually managed, okay, Kathy gave me a feedback that successful, that we were able to load that people were able to read, okay, our views, our opinions, the way we look at things. And actually, again, the value of imagination, creativity is achieved. So without even adding another point, LD is the way to go. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Coach Isaac. Let's see, maybe our project lead has some comments, and anyone else who has something to say can share.
Wow. Wow. I was thinking Isaac is going on. He has captivated me. That was so beautiful. You know, I feel like somebody has poured nice water just running, and I'm feeling like actually when you go to Mombasa and you're swimming after a heavy day, I just feel like, wow, it's worth it. It's worth it. Thanks so much, Coach Isaac. Thanks, Antonin. Wow. Let me not say many things. I'm awed. But that was so special. You know, there's something you've said there that I think we can take up. You've talked of our debaters. And I'm thinking, maybe because we are starting and others will be joining us, we can see if we can track our debaters in the next 30 years, find out where they are. That's number one. Number two, from what I'm seeing, most of our debaters will be very powerful speakers. So probably one time we need a lawyer to mentor us on this, you know, just a lawyer to come and give the cross-examination the way they do it. Thank you so much for that. I can see Galaxy Tab. I just don't know who she is, but she's so excited. I join her in being excited. Thank you so much. Kathy, any comments on the chat?
Yes, I'd like to read some few comments here, starting from Lillian Kidilu. She had commented on Dr. Okoth's presentation. Awesome, Dr. Okoth, for the powerful flow of the LD debate. I love the rebuttal part where the debaters face opponents without having outbursts, but rather argue their ideas. Teacher Isaac or Coach Isaac said, sure, they said it was a poem, but someone gave the exact verse and read it out. And then, thank you, Coach Isaac. It was a nice presentation. Lillian, that was from Stacy. And then Lillian Kimilo also says, that was great, Isaac, out the LD debate, inculcate core competencies of the CBC. Those are the comments for.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I'm sure from what I got to learn that there are some teachers who are interested in starting it in their own schools. Probably, Kathy, you can put our email, the Debating for Emerging Voices email on the chat, so some can pick it up from there. And then I'll also try and see if I can send the information on the various coaches who have been trained and are able to take us through, as long as we are supporting each other and we are still being supported by the American embassy. And in line with that, we may not have everybody coming in to see because of the COVID issues and the protocols and everything that goes with it. But we'd welcome everybody and others to join us next Saturday, God willing, on 16th on Facebook, or the other channels will be able to watch the debate live and see how the students are doing it as we welcome others on board. I believe that will bring us to the end. It's unfortunate. I apologize once again. We're not able to get Mwakazi Johnston. He was not just simply able to come in. And I believe I would be using the LD debate to say that forgive us. I'm sure there are those who joined because they wanted to see him. I believe one day we'll still get him, but forgive us for that. And we'll end there for today. If there's any other comment, if not, Kathy, on your end?
In general, I've loved both your presentations. They were wonderful, well-researched, just like the LD debate expects us to do. And I appreciate that both of you took the time to create these slides with all this information. Thank you so much, Dr. Judith and Coach Isaac. I'd also want to thank all the students who've joined us. Thank you for taking the time to just listen in. I hope you have picked one or two things. I can see someone raising their hand. I'm not sure if they want to ask a question. Let me allow that. I'm not sure. Okay. Yes. Grace George, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Grace George, and I'm a student from Amangina.
Oh, oh, hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing?
Fine.
Fine.
I'd like to make a few comments, and I thought if I just type my comments, that would like be so long. So I thought let me just comment verbally. Yeah, first of all, there is a quote that you stated before about public speaking is a skill, developing skills takes time. So I'll just like to maybe testify to this, like some point. Like when I was in Form 1, to be sincere, I was a very shy girl. Yeah, very shy, and my teachers would be like, "Wow, Grace, you can't stand up for yourself." But then as time goes by, others were complimenting me that, "Oh, Grace, you're born to be like, you're just so good at public speaking." But then I came to realize that public speaking is something that you develop with time. And to be sincere, the Lincoln Douglas debate to the Debating for Emerging Voices has really helped me that. And to be sincere, even my teacher, Madam Sikin Yakea, commented the other day that, Grace, I like the way you comment you construct your arguments nowadays. And I could really relate that using the Debating for Emerging Voices Club. And I'm so happy because when I hear you guys you speaking, I could tell that I really got these skills from these coaches. I really like the way all of you started your arguments. They flowed, they had an introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And I think I'll take that and try and implement it in my own way. So also the fighting for ideas. Sometimes in primary I came to realize that others were fighting their opponents instead of the ideas. And I think that's a good thing. Like, it's good that we are fighting the ideas, not the people. That has also like really helped me, like in real life. There's this time I was debating against a boy, and then someone told me, "Will you be able to debate against a boy, Grace? You're a girl." And I just said to them, "I'm going to debate their points. I'm going to fight the ideas." And I think you really brought out that point very well. Then on thinking on your feet, my teacher, Madam Cyprian, my coach, used to tell me that, Grace, you have to learn to think on your feet. And I think that's something I really got from the debate. And nowadays, even when like my father asks me a question, I'm no longer saying, I don't know. I always have that idea. I have to think outside the box as quick as possible. That is something I got from the cross-examination. And I really thank the Debating for Emerging Voices Club. So, like, I was thinking the other day, like, I'm going to finish Form 4 and maybe I might lose track of the Debating for Emerging Voices Club, but it is my wish that I may like join, like stay with you guys till I'm old enough to also teach other people and also teach others. I know I don't want it to end when I'm done with Form 4. I want to go to university, finish university, and even teach my children if possible. Yeah,
Wow.
that's all I had. And I really like the way all of you presented your points, and that's why I'm smiling, because I really like that. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow. I remember you from Mombasa.
Yeah.
You've made a point. You shall continue. Probably when we are out of this world, you shall still be debating.
Amen.
Thank you. And Grace, I would want to urge you to record what you've just said. Please put it on a video, send it to us so that many can watch it next Saturday. Kindly, if you can.
Okay, I'll see that. I don't know that I have recorded it, so it's okay.
I know we recorded it here, but I'd like it as a short video. Well done. Please do it for us. Thank you so much. Opportunity came, she grabbed the opportunity, she's moving on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Stacy's hand is up, Kathy. Stacy?
Okay.
Wanda, go on.
Hi everyone, good evening.
Evening to you.
My question was, when Grace was speaking, she was talking about when she finishes Form 4, she would like to continue with debating for emerging voices. Is that possible when someone finishes Form 4?
Yes, it is possible, and here is the reason. The Debating for Emerging Voices is supposed to cater for youth between the ages of 15 to 35. And our main area of operations are at the American centers. So that is still available for us. So once you finish school, remember I had said about networking, we will still keep the networks. And who knows, you may be the ones who will now be in a position to now be based at the American centers as you're waiting to go to campus, as you're in campus. And then we who are in school will be bringing you students to continue mentoring there. So you've just given us a good challenge. We are working on it. And yes, you shall continue. I hope you're answered.
Yes, I'm answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Wow. What a night. I think the comments that are coming in are so overwhelming. It just shows you did a good job, much as we may not have had our guest speaker present with us. I think we've done a good job. There's some comments in the chat. These are responses to what has been presented. Indeed, it is helpful. What I know is that our coaches will help us to be more stronger in the DevC club. Also, as students, we thank you, coaches, for supporting us and teaching us. Antonine says, that is so beautiful, Grace. Lillian Kimilu says, that is awesome, Grace. I love the motivation and transformation that the LD has done. I don't know whether there's more that I can say. Clearly, there's positive impact. And I'm glad that the questions we're getting are about growth, are about how to further this beyond the confines of the 1 year duration that we've had, which means the positive impact has done exactly what we wanted it to do. to give us an opportunity to promote dialogue for conflict resolution, as we say in our banner, to give us an opportunity to communicate issues as young people, to find better ways of articulating our ideas through our articles. So I'm glad that we're actually achieving our goals. It means the systems that we have put in place are actually guiding the path very successfully. So thank you everyone for making this night possible. There are some of us who've been quiet, some who have listened in without just slipped in seamlessly, but we are so grateful for everyone who has joined us. And I'd like to end the session there with a word of prayer. I don't know if there's anyone who would want to volunteer to pray with us. Then we can call it a night.
Mr. Kiragu was to say a vote of thanks.
Okay.
Mr. James Kiragu, if he's there.
Hello, I'm around.
Yes, please. You are to give a vote of thanks.
Yes, we would like to be very grateful. There were awesome presentations. I was not able to join on time because I was traveling, but great for what I've got. I can say to Antoine, to Isaac, and to all those that contributed. And most of all, we thank God for giving us this opportunity that we're able to meet and revisit what we have been doing together with our students. So thanks a lot, Dr. and Kathy, for this organization. We are very happy. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, somebody can pray and we call it a night. Bathwell. Bathwell. Wow.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay, let us
Yes.
pray.
Yeah.
Our Father, we come unto this time, Lord. We thank you for the care you have taken on us since we started the session up to this time, Lord. Even now, as we retire to our beds, we pray so that you may be able to guide us, lead us, and tomorrow morning we'll be able to thank you, Lord. So I pray this, please, and trust in Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. And thanks,
Amen.
thanks, Cliff. Thanks, Consolata. Thanks, Antonin. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Lillian. Thanks,
everyone.
Isaac. Thank you, Grace. Thanks, Seth. God bless you. See you in the future. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.